Before you put anything in the still air box, you're going to want to sanitize it. So make sure you have gloves. And I have done a little bit of research about short sleeves versus long sleeves for once you're inside the air box. And the general consensus I have found is that go no sleeves. Just have your bare skin, you know, you can know what I mean. So, what am I going to do? Or what am I going to use to sanitize this stuff before I put it inside the still air box? I have a bottle here of 70% isopropanol, and I'm going to saturate a paper towel in the alcohol, like really, really saturate it. Once I've done that, I can use it to wash my gloves real quick. And I want to put things in the still air box as I sanitize them. This is a plastic still air box. So if you're using scissors, make sure you're careful. And if you're inoculating anything in one of these plastic still air boxes, don't think that you can sterilize a syringe inside the box. I've never done it because it would be a really bad idea, because this could easily catch on fire. And if you're like me and you have all your equipment, mainly your still air box, in the garage that's attached to your home, you see where I'm going with that. It's just not a bad, or it is a bad idea to just save 30 seconds by pulling the syringe outside of the still air box to sterilize it with a torch. I have this little screwdriver here. I'm going to put this in the still air box as well. And what I'm going to use this for is to break up the mycelium, the grain, inside of this jar. Usually, I use a wooden spoon, but I got the idea to use this earlier today, and it just seemed like a good idea, so let's find out. Just any kind of metal that you're going to be putting in the plastic still air box, be careful. This is a bag of CBG that I have sterilized. Whenever I first got into this, I didn't ever sterilize my substrate. I just relied on the colonized grain jar to put up enough of a fight to, keep so that I wouldn't have to sterilize my substrate. But I've been having a real bad problem with Trick. So I sterilized my substrate this time, and I'm going to transfer this grain jar to the sterilized substrate bag to try to prevent contamination. Contaminants like Trick, or really just any contaminant, gets in the air. So once an environment is exposed to the contamination, it's very difficult to get it to go away, to be quite honest with you. Just to be straight up, it has been a nightmare. The past 4 months, I don't think I've had anything fruit because everything keeps getting hit by Trick. I take that back. I have gotten things to fruit, but it's not this stuff. It's my business mushrooms that from beginning to end, they're in a polypropylene bag that was sterilized, and I inoculate them inside of the still air box. So there's no opportunity, or at least way less of an opportunity, for things like Trick to get your bag. Get your bag, get your batch. I'm grabbing a bag of turkey tail that is perfectly healthy. No signs of contamination. It is just a clean bag. And I used the method I spoke about just a moment ago for this bag. And something I really think is cool, once the mycelium really colonizes, what I call them is mushroom cake. Once the cake gets fully colonized, it's durable. The mycelium really does form a mat. It just binds everything together inside the bag or monotub. Back to sanitizing, and you'll recognize or notice that I'm saying sanitize and not sterilize whenever I'm wiping this stuff down. Because the reason I'm doing that is because sterilization is a order of magnitude more extreme than sanitization. When you sanitize something, and I'm sorry if I'm preaching to the choir here, but just to clarify for people that maybe don't know, the difference between sterilization and sanitization is, in sanitization, you're just trying to get it as clean as you possibly can. You're just trying to sanitize it. You know, it's really, the objective is to do your best. Get it as clean as you personally can. The cleaner, the better, the more sanitized. Sterilization, on the other hand, is complete elimination of life. So when you sterilize a bag of substrate or a jar of grain, you are making sure every single thing inside of that bag or jar is dead. The extreme heat and pressure, thankfully, doesn't damage the grain or the substrate. There's some stuff, I think, I could be very wrong here, but from what I understand, there are foods, types of food, that you can cook to the point that it just loses its nutritional value. But fortunately for our grain, especially, I don't know too much for the substrate, but the pressure cooker actually makes it more nutritious and makes more things available to the mycelium once you introduce it to the grain. So it's a win-win-win. So back to the sanitization, I'm going to grab another paper towel. Even though it's coated, soaked, saturated in alcohol, it still will collect dust particles that have pretty wide or large surface area, considering that it's a grain of dust, but still, just any little speck will get you. These polypropylene bags do have microspore filters on them, just in case you didn't notice. I'm going to do more sanitizing once it gets inside the still air box, but like I've said, I've been fighting contamination so much lately that Perhaps I'm being overly cautious now, but I don't want to say overly cautious. I'm probably starting to approach the appropriate amount of caution that I should have been exercising since the beginning, but wasn't. And I was having a lot of success. Like, it was awesome. I harvested probably about 3 ounces of dried mushrooms over the course of a year with really little to no problem. It's kind of like I got worse. Usually you develop a skill and refine it and just continue to get better and better. And I have become more knowledgeable. I don't want to give the impression that I haven't actually gotten better over the past year or two. I think the real problem is that I had a bunch of really good harvest and just a bunch of really good grows. So I became complacent. It gave me the false impression that I could be more loose with the do you see I set this on the table, immediately picked it back up and hit it again with the alcohol. Anytime you're sanitizing something and it touches another surface or just a surface before putting it in the still air box, you need to clean it again. That I have everything I'm going to need inside of the still air box. I'm going to use some hand sanitizer on my gloves, and I'm also going to wipe it up my forearms, up my arm like this. From what I read, you want to keep a short sleeve shirt on, or at least pull your sleeves up, because all kinds of little microscopic beings can stick to the fabric, whereas your hair on your arms can as well. But if you're applying alcohol to the area, it should take care of all of that. This hand sanitizer smells like Jägermeister. I've gone through a lot of hand sanitizer, and this is the first bottle that smells like a liquor. I like to go up to my elbows. It's just a good standard to go by for myself. I want to make sure none of the fabric from my shirt is getting in, and I also trying to make sure that there aren't any large gaps in the armholes. There we go. Just trying to get my hands on this to tighten it. If you are curious why I have so many bottles of peroxide in here, it's because this still air box is extremely light, so I just wanted to put them in here to help weigh it down onto the table. I will be sanitizing all of the things I'm going to be working on and with. The first thing I'm going to do is wipe the bottom of the box. You really want to make sure you get the inside of the still box as sanitized as you're able to. The whole point of the still air box is to reduce contamination. Okay, I think I got all my equipment sanitized enough. This is a sterilized bag of CBG. I've been having a lot of problems with contamination lately, so I wouldn't usually sterilize a bag of CBG, but I really need to get my groove back. And I believe having a successful grow is the best way for me to do that. So I took the sanitization and sterilization way more seriously on this grow. And I will probably, most likely, if I have any sense about myself, be practicing those same methods in the future. This is a fully colonnaded jar. It is more than ready to go. I can't do my favorite part of this process, which is sticking the mason jar up to my nose and going, oh my god, that smells so good. But that's fine. I typically use a wooden spoon for breaking up the mycelium in the grain jar. This is the first time I've used a screwdriver for it. It definitely seems like the way to go for the future. This bag has 3 quart-sized jars of CBG in it and 1 quart-sized jar of grain. So it's a 1-to-3 substrate mix ratio. I should have brought a clip inside of the box to clamp this bag shut, but since I didn't think about it, thankfully I do have a roll of Microspore tape in here. I've started using Microspore tape more than the Microspore filter patches, and I've got to say I've had the same results whether I'm using the tape or I'm using the filter patches. I wouldn't recommend using the Microspore tape for what I'm doing right now because it is a little bit wasteful. This tape is actually kind of expensive, but it served its purpose in this instance, I guess. All right, look at the jar. You know, I can pull it out and sniff it. Tighten one of the holes for now. Not sure if I'm going to be able to fit this bag out of this armhole, but I think I will. Let's see. Yeah, it came out. Yep, it smells really good. It smells like Mother Earth. Take out my trash. I shouldn't have tightened this hole so fast. So soon. I do plan to use this in the future, but since it is a pointy piece of metal, I am going to take it out of that box until the next time I use it. Same for the scissors. I wonder if some stainless steel rods that I could run around the edges inside of the box, because I believe stainless steel is antimicrobial by nature. Whenever the microorganisms try to move around on the steel, they just rip themselves apart. But I don't know if it would guard against spores, yeast spores, and other things.